and there are sometimes you can zone out just a little bit, and you miss everything, and you turn panic, and you miss the following questions as well. Have you ever been in that situation?
Of course. I mean, I'm sure everybody has been in that situation when you're talking to someone and then, oh, oops, did they ask me a question? I wasn't actually listening. So it's the same thing that happens when you're doing a listening test. But in this case, you don't really have a choice. You know, you really have to make sure that for those 30 minutes, you're focused on whatever the audio is and you're trying to answer all the questions.
So how should we prepare a mentality to cope with the IELTS listening test?
Well, first of all, you need to figure out if you have problems, let's say sitting down and just being calm and focusing on one thing. So perhaps maybe that's a skill you need to work on, and so that's a little bit separate. And then of course, you can work on your listening skill, but you can also work on your focusing skill. So try to give yourself practice tests where you really don't have, no distractions whatsoever, no phones, and nobody likes that. But yeah, that's the number one thing that keeps distracting us, right? So if we have that away, which will happen during the test, then that's what you need to do to make sure that 30 minutes of just listening and then the 10 minutes of transferring your answers.
Okay, so what are some sources or websites that we can practice listening with?
Well, so what are you thinking of right now? Is it more your general English listening skills, or is it your exam skills?
For the IELTS?
Yes. So, well, you have to think about it as both ways, you know? Maybe your problem isn't just taking the IELTS. Maybe the problem is your listening skills themselves aren't really in the right level. So first try to figure that out. And if you're scoring really low or far below your target band, then maybe you need to work on that first. And that's where you start listening to, go to BBC, go to TED Talks, all these podcasts. Make it part of your daily life. Even when you're driving, possibly, or maybe when you're exercising, try to do that. Then, you see people walking with their earphones on, right? So why don't you try listening to something that might improve your listening skill? And then after that, you can start working on specific exam skills.
Yeah, and I read somewhere that you should listen to understand, not just to find out the answer.
Exactly.
In that way, even if you miss some part of the information, you can still guess the answer.
Yes. And then of course, and you were saying earlier, you miss one part, and then what happens is you're gonna miss the next part and so on. And so if you do understand the general meaning, even if you don't have all of the information, you can just focus on those and then let it go. Because again, think about your target band. If you're aiming for, let's say, a band 6, you only really need 23 correct answers. So you can let go of that one answer that you didn't hear, and then you can move on to the next one.
Now it's time to study IELTS.